What is up, my dude and dudettes, and welcome back to TellerTube. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the subreddit r/Prorevenge. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with my latest videos. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Killed a tow company with one simple phone call. Okay, several years back, I went to work for a towing company. It's about all I know how to do other than paint cars, which is drastically affecting my health. The pay was pretty decent, but we had to share trucks, and the boss felt that he knew where we needed to sit in order to get the best calls. This is important for later. Several months in, I realized that I was not making the type of money that I should be making. So I took the opportunity while I was sitting in the parking lot one evening to start researching the laws pertaining to employees in similar positions. He was kind of an a-hole, and the trucks had transponders so that he could see if we had been idling them with the air conditioning on hot days or idling with the heat on cold days. He was always calling, complaining about something if the wheels were not turning. During my research, I discovered that if he was requiring us to sit in a certain parking lot, street, or location of his choosing, then we were entitled to be paid an hourly wage, not just our commission. The technical term was engaged to wait. However, if he allowed us to freely roam about while we waited for calls, we were not entitled to hourly wages. We were therefore considered waiting to be engaged. I never mentioned this to him, but I did start taking note of my time. Another month or so goes by, and he decided to start coming down on me for little tiny BS things that ordinarily wouldn't even matter. Such as I forgot a pop can in the cup holder. He actually had a screaming fit about that. At this point, I was tired of working there and had already found another job, so I decided it was time to put my plan into motion. I called him up, told him that we needed to have a conversation about my final wages, and that we could meet at his convenience. Upon entering the office, I laid out my argument, explained the state law, and told him I expected to be paid for the hours that I was on the clock but not freely allowed to roam looking for work or able to do things of my choosing. He told me in no uncertain terms would I be paid for that time, as that was agreed upon my employment. I did not bother to argue as I already had my next step planned, so I took my final check and I left. The following Monday, I made a phone call to the State Labor Board where I laid out my case to them. Needless to say, they were very interested in what was going on. In the end, they came to review his employment records and speak to the driver still working. When he got the bill of what he had to pay us all, it was too much for him to afford. So he sold his trucks, his boat, and lot and went out of business. I never got the money owed to me in full, only a fraction. But the satisfaction of knowing the law just a little better than he did and watching it all burn was pure bliss. So, you're not gonna pay me for what I should be getting paid. The labor law should love this one. Superintendent doesn't like to delay or cancel school no matter how bad the conditions. This comes back to end her career. Both my children attended elementary school in northern Midwest. As you can imagine, it snowed. A lot. Even with all the snow removal infrastructure, when a particularly heavy storm came along, the town just couldn't keep up with it, and the buses couldn't run. For decades, the school district dealt with this by having 5 snow days built into the calendar. If they had more than 5 snow days, the kids would go an extra day at the end of the year. For years, this system worked, and no one ever complained, except for the occasional child that had to attend a couple extra days in June. Well, all good things must eventually come to an end. The old, mild-mannered super retired. A new super took his place. She was young, aggressive, and almost immediately reviled by everyone in the district. Let's call her Sue, because that's what we ultimately did to her. Sue came right out of corporate America. I don't know how she got it in her head that she wanted to run a school district, but she did. She was so inexperienced that the school board had to give her a waiver to work in our district before she could even show up for work. When the year started, Sue went on a power trip and made everyone's head spin. She slashed hours for support staff, barred children from repeating a grade without her personal approval. What? Cracked down on teachers taking sick time until the union pointed out that she was violating the CBA by doing that. Backed off a little, but vowed to go after any staff taking sick time. And stopped the weekly trips to the fitness center by the special needs class. She was like a cartoon villain. But what's important to this story is that she ended the decade-old snow day system, took the days right out of the calendar and said we wouldn't be needing them, as she was cracking down on snow days. Here's how snow days work. The transportation department keeps an eye on the roads. If they are unsafe, or even if they are safe but the forecast is looking crazy for later, they tell the super they can't safely run the buses. The super then cancels the school. It's really supposed to be the transportation department's call. Well, Sue decides that she is the sole arbiter of deciding cancellations. So even if the transportation says it's not safe to run the buses, she can say, tough crap, which she did often. As you can imagine, this led to a lot of awkward and even dangerous situations. Buses not being able to access rural roads, buses running an hour late, buses running their entire route completely empty because no sane parent would send their kids to school in a whiteout blizzard. For 2 years, we parents tolerated this dumbness. But needless to say, we were frustrated. We tried going through the proper channels, contacting the transportation department, writing to the school board. We even wrote a collective letter to Sue personally, who, if the rumor is true, spit on our letter and tossed it in the bin. Though we did get a nice message on the school department website about how they were always thinking about the safety of the students. So that's nice, I guess. Things finally boiled over the winter of that second year. A bus went off the road. Though my kids were not on it, it shook me up. There were numerous complaints on the school's Facebook from scared to disgruntled parents. 2 years of being the only district open in the county during storms was getting on everyone's nerves. My sister-in-law is a criminal defense attorney. I am a disability advocate with a state agency, so while I'm not an expert on the law like my sister-in-law, I tend to know my way around. We met for dinner and decided that if and when the inevitable tragedy happens, we would sue. We met a couple more times to work on our game plan. You can't sue a school district for making a dumb snow day decision, but if a kid gets hurt. The day finally came in the late autumn of the 3rd year of Sue. We had a big storm roll through in the early morning hours. Not cold enough to snow or freeze, thankfully, but extremely windy. Most of the county lost power, including the schools. Thousands of outages, power lines down, trees down, roads closed. It was a mess. All of the districts in the county closed. All, of course, except ours. Sue was never one to turn down a chance at a power trip. She ordered the schools to stay open. It was a disaster. Buses couldn't access every road to pick up students, buses were late. Individual schools were putting out bulletins that attendance was a parent's choice. Students unable to make it to school would receive a principal's excused absence. Stay home if it's the safer choice. Bear in mind, all of the schools were running on generators. So the high schoolers, who started an hour earlier, were sitting in the gymnasium bored. There was literally no point in having school this day. Then, the inevitable happened. A tree fell and hit a bus, and this time my daughter was on it. Thankfully, the driver did a good job of evacuating the children and there were only minor injuries, but injuries nonetheless. All because of Sue's absurd no cancellation policy. Some ambulances showed up, 4 kids went to the hospital. As a precaution, it made the news. It was time. The district sent forms to all of the parents of injured children. They would cover all the medical costs and provide counseling for the kids in the guidance office, and a small cash settlement in exchange for the parents signing a release of liability. You can't sue us. But my sister-in-law and I had gotten to the parents first and advised them not to sign anything, as we were taking the district to big boy court. Some of the parents did take the settlement offered, which is understandable since not everyone likes drama, but some didn't. Some told the district right where to shove that settlement, and I was one of them. Sister-in-law and I got together with a couple of the injured parents that were sick of the district's nonsense. We got our paperwork in a row and filed a suit. We filed the suit so fast that our hands burst into flames. The essence of the suit was that the district had failed their duty in loco parentis by making unsafe transportation decisions directly causing the crash and injury. My sister-in-law also pulled some strings at the local newspaper and got our lawsuit on a small spot on the front page. Parents came out of the woodwork to express their support. They were frustrated after years of Sue's authoritarianism. It turned into a small media circus, and I'm sure some Redditor will Google this and find something. Well, the district's lawyers got to work and quickly realized that this was going to be a mess. A discovery process pulling up the dirt, the parents of the injured children testifying, the general hatred of the district. Not to mention, it appeared that they would indeed lose. They moved to quickly and quietly settle this case. They basically sat down with us and said, "Name your price." And while I cannot discuss the details of the settlement, let's just say that all injured parties were made whole. Also, the district changed their cancellation policy immediately. Now, if there is even a hint of snow or icky weather, they canceled. A welcome change of pace. As for Sue, she became very quiet. Sue used to spend all day sending aggressive emails about her policies. Now, hardly a peep. All she did the rest of the year was fill a seat. As summer approached at the end of the year, Sue announced her resignation. She was leaving to pursue other interests. We think she was asked to resign. She was replaced by a superintendent who was much nicer. He rolled back all of Sue's power trippy policies. Oh my goodness. I feel kinda bad for the kids, but at least Sue got what she deserved. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, smash that like button as it would really help me out. Subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with my latest videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.